Hi, I'm Donna Wolfe from Naztazia.com.
I'll show you how to connect granny squares using the slip stitch braid method, sometimes known as the zigzag technique, in this tutorial video. It's a 3D textured visible seam that looks nice with the matching or contrasting color yarn. To do this, I'm going to first place my crochet hook from the top down into the one corner of the granny square. And then I'm going to take some yarn and pull it through like this. Basically, I'm going to make a slip stitch in the corner of my granny square with this yellow yarn. Throughout this technique, it's important to keep the yellow yarn in between the granny squares. You'll find this helps you figure out how to make the slip stitches correctly. I'm now placing my crochet hook into the second granny square from the top down and make a slip stitch on this side of the granny square. Once completed, you might need to tighten or even loosen your slip stitches a little. And then we repeat on the other granny square. Keep that yellow yarn in between the granny squares as you make your slip stitches. Then we go back over to the other granny square, yarn over, and make your slip stitch. As you can see, we make our slip stitches first on one granny square and then the second granny square. This back and forth motion makes a nice zigzag or braided look in your work. Once you get to the top of these granny squares, you might want to add some more granny squares. It's a similar process to connecting more granny squares. If you ended on the right side of the work, start your new granny square on the left side of the work to keep the braided pattern going. And then you'll switch to the other granny square and go forth with the back and forth slip stitches to create the braided look for the remaining stitches on these granny squares. And I can't emphasize enough how important it is to keep that yellow yarn or whatever color you are using in between the granny squares as you work the stitch pattern. Once you are completed, you'll fasten off your work and weave in the ends for this vertical line. After that, you can turn your work and start working on connecting the granny squares along their other sides. You'll start the process like we did before with a slip stitch in the first granny square, then go back and forth in between the squares. When you get to the crossroads, it's not an exact science how to handle it. I generally try and keep the back and forth motion going, of course. However, you might need to skip a stitch or two or go in the same stitch twice as before. Much depends upon your yarn and how your braid looks at this point. And that's it. That's how I crochet granny squares together with the slip stitch braid method.